Good evening, everyone. This is Al Fadi, and I want to thank you, of course, as always, for following us, on our channels, myself and Dr. J. Smith, and also for watching this series. And I hope that you also not only enjoying it, benefiting from it, but our hope is that you will be, sharing it with other platforms, maybe even sending it to some of your friends, hopefully Muslim friends, for the sake of opening the door for discussions and dialogue about such important issues when it comes to the historical criticism of early Islam. We've been talking about the problems with the place, and that's Mecca. And we have covered a number of issues that are glaringly obvious that what the Quran says about a place, allegedly Mecca, because really Mecca was mentioned only one time in the Quran, but there are many other verses that somehow are implicit about this alleged place. What the Quran mentions does not really match up with what Mecca had or has today. With me here, of course, to continue this discussion, as always, our dear friend, Dr. J. Smith. Dr. J., thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
So we talked about, some of the features, if you wish, the characteristics of Mecca according to the Quran. And we said, like there is no stream of water, there are no olive trees, and the list can go on and on and on when it comes to really, if you look at what the Quran says and apply it to modern day Mecca, something is missing here.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is another big problem that comes up is the geographical locations. We all, Dan Gibson. You've met him.
Right.
You've had him on your show. Yeah, I know Dan Gibson. I've never had him on Fandor Films yet, but we've talked. We've emailed each other. Gibson is interesting because he is kind of archaeologist. And he's grown up in an archaeological family. His grandparent were archaeologists. His father was an archaeologist. He grew up with archaeological books. That was his favorite reading. And so for him, archaeology is sacrosanct, but more than that, it was also, he learned at a very young age that if you're going to talk about a historical event or a person or a place, you need to house it in that location. Location. And so he was troubled when he was reading the Quran. He was living in the Middle East back in the 1970s. About 1979, he started doing his research in the Middle East. He was working amongst the Bedouins, so he learned the language, he knew how to talk to them, and he was in location on that place. And as he was looking at the Quran, he kept on reading places and names that were not only in the Quran, but also in the traditions that just made no sense. So he went to those places, he went to those names. And then he wrote a book called Quranic Geography in 2011. Mm-hmm. This one, it was not an academic book. It was not academically written. It were really his field notes that he was taking on the field. That was at that time that he saw difficulties with the Qibla, and that's where he really got interested in the Qibla. So from 1979 to around 2004, so we're talking about 25 years, he was there doing his research. He had lived in Jordan. He actually did a book for the Jordanian government on tourism, and they wanted him to do a overview, historical overview, archaeological overview of the Jordanian context, and that's where he came across the Nabatean kingdoms, and he noticed that the Nabatean kingdoms were referring to things and peoples that were also referenced in the Quran and also referenced in the Bible. Now, he knew that the biblical context and the biblical archaeology all made sense. He had studied biblical archaeology, so had his father, and he realized that in Christianity, we've got to locate our places, we've got to locate our people, we've got to locate our events in a historical context that made sense. And it does. That's the beauty of the Bible. The right people at the right places doing the right thing at the right time. When he came to the Quran, because he was in Jordan, he was studying the Quran, he was looking at these places, he noticed that there was a real disconnect. These peoples and places and events just made no sense. Now, there was a whole litany of material that I could use. I remember when I was talking to him one time, he said, when you look at the Bible, take the author Luke. When you look at Luke's writing in the Gospel of Luke and also in the book of Acts, there's about 101 geographical locations that you find in Luke's writing.
Right.
And when you look at Luke's writing, every event, every place that he talked about have been supported and solidified. No one doubts. When he talked about a place, that place existed. When he talked about an event, that event happened. When he talked about a person, that person was actually there at that place doing those things at that time. That's why Luke is such a great treasure trove for us when it comes to geography. Go ahead.
I was going to add, I mean, speaking of Luke and the book of Acts, I was in the island of Malta myself, and I was looking at a monument in the middle of the sea, and they told me that's the alleged shipwreck that Paul, the Apostle Paul, was in Acts chapter 27. And when you go and read that chapter, it says that the winds and the waves were so strong, and you see in front of you that in that area, because of its location, that winds and waves are a little bit more stronger than usual because of the confines around it. But at the same time, at least we have a place that says that's where the incident happened, geographically speaking, archaeologically speaking. And it's been accepted like this throughout the history of Christianity. We don't find similar things like this in Mecca. Like you mentioned, the prophet will go passing by a pillar of salt. Where is that? Where is that pillar of salt?
If it's referred in the Quran, it should be there today. There should be some pillar there of salt that we can look at, but it just doesn't exist.
Right.
So he was looking at this, and he wrote this book called Quranic Geography. I'm going to go to the slide and just put it up there. Just look at the slide here, and I'm just going to zip it up there. When you look at the Quran, it has 65 geographical references, he said. So this is all Gibson's material. So I want to give credit to him because he has done the hard work. He's been there. He's actually physically been to these places. So that's why I want to give him credit for that, because bless him that he has helped all of us. And so he says there are 65 geographical locations. 9 places are named, however. So many of the places are referred to over and over and over and over again. Especially the people that this prophet is having contact with. So he's having contact with a number of people. 23 times in the Quran you have contact with these people from Ad. Ad is Uz in the Bible. So we know these people.
Yeah.
Ad is Uz in the Bible. Well, let's look right up here. Where are the people of Ud? Look right here where I'm pointing. See it?
Right.
These are the people of Ad. That's way up here near Petra. Here's Mecca way down here. That's 600 to 700 miles distance between these people right here. So 23 times he's having contact with people from Ad. I mean, if you're having almost daily contact or weekly contact with people from Ad, how do you get up to 600 miles further north and then come back home again?
And why would you do that, on a daily basis? Maybe once in a while you're traveling and you came across them. Okay, I'll buy that.
Okay, but that's hugely significant when you look at it on a map. And that's why Muslims haven't done this. And I didn't do this until Gibson told me to do that. And he said, look on a map, just put it on a map. Look at the distance we're talking about. Look at the other one, 24 times. So even more so than Ad or Uz as we know it, are the people of Thamud. Over and over and over again. He is having contact. He's dealing with these people from Thamud. We know them as Nabateans. The Nabateans, well, that's all up here as well. That is in Jordan today. The Nabateans are well known. In fact, Gibson did a whole book on the Nabateans. Hugely significant. Right. They're well historically solidified.
And there is another thing, Dr. J. I mean, in the Bible, let's use the Bible. If the Bible, like for instance, the book of Ezekiel right now, I'm going through it. We're preaching sermons from it. And from chapter 1, it identifies where the exiles are at, and the river of Khibar, okay? Well, I had an Iraqi guy sitting in the sermon. I talked to him afterwards, and he says, yeah, that river's still there, and that's how we call it. What I'm saying is, the Bible talks about things that people, the hearers, are going to connect the dots immediately. So if the people of Mecca were hearing something about, Ad, Thamud, are they all going to connect the dots? Because maybe few of them know about this. Where in fact, if they're living in that area, it will make sense why you're talking to them about something around them that they should learn from the mistakes that they made.
There you go. Brilliant. Now let's just go back to the map again. Let's look at the slide again. There's one other people, and that are the people of Midian. 7 times it refers to the people of Midian. 24 times the people of Thamud. 23 times the people of Ad, which suggests that these three tribes are referred to more than any other tribe in the Quran, proving that they are very important, proving that we must look at them. and nobody has bothered to look and see where they lived. No Muslim has done this, and I've never heard any Muslim ever come back to me on this. Gibson was the first to really do it. I don't know of anybody else that has asked this question, and that's why it was such a blowout in 2011 when he came out with his book, Quranic Geography. No one had thought to say, hold on a minute, put this on a map, look on the map. There are 600 miles, folks. If he is having daily contact or weekly contact with these people from so far north, that means he's going to, how did he get there and back in one day unless he has a helicopter? There were no helicopters in the 7th century, thank you. So obviously there's a problem here. It looks like, geographically speaking, what the Quran is talking about, all these events with these people must have happened up here, not down there. In order to have this kind of contact, such a numerous amount of contacts, it must have been way up north and not further south.
Amen to that. And I agree wholeheartedly, because I remember when Gibson, basically was sitting behind me in 2011 at a conference where he lives. And he handed me a copy of this book. To be honest with you, when I looked at the title, I just didn't think much of it. All I said to myself, well, here's a guy who wants just to write about Islam. Okay, so what does it mean, the geography of the Quran? I was thinking is like, well, I mean, what's so significant about that? There is nothing in there of significant in the first place. But then I start to go through it, and like you said, it was an eye-opener. It's like, whoa, I never thought about the location of Ad. I never thought about the location of Thamud, Midian, or all these things, until I started to go through and began to realize the importance of this.
Okay, for those people who would like to read this yourself, you can just go up online, just Google Quranic Geography /PDF. And you actually can bring it down. Now, they will ask you to pay $15. Please pay the $15 for Gibson. He needs the money. Listen, anybody that's done this kind of work should be paid.
It's worth every nickel and dime of
it.
Absolutely.
What we're going to do next now, we're going to look at the language. We're going to start and talk about linguistics. We've talked about geography. We've talked about what the tradition said and what the Quran says about Mecca. Now, let's look and see what was the language that was used there in Mecca.
Wonderful. Thank you, as always. And thank you, everyone. Until next time, have a blessed day. Thank you for watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel, Sira International, and click on the bell so that you receive notifications whenever we publish a new video or go live. I would also like to appeal to you to consider becoming a Patreon patron by clicking the link right below. By doing so, you can give towards the production of these videos. There are also other options for you where you can give to our channel. I thank you from the bottom of my heart.